The key to success here will be avoiding Randy Orton's RKO.
That's easier said than done, Cole. That thing comes out of nowhere sometimes.
Hello and welcome to Weekly Wrestling Review for the 16th of the 1st, 2015. My name is Paul, and of course we're going to be running through this whole week in wrestling. We had a substandard Raw, a better Road Show on NXT than the Slammies. We had a bad week, second week on Pop for TNA. We had a bad SmackDown, and we had some interesting bits of news in this week in wrestling. So let's go start off with the substandard Raw. We came out with a promo from Vince and Stephanie McMahon. They had the whole male roster on the stage, and they were picking out certain people to try and get them to fling Roman Reigns over the top rope in the Royal Rumble match. They picked out Dolph Ziggler, and fun fact, you can actually see Damien Sandow in his intellectual savior of the masses attire right behind him. It's the first time he's been seen on WWE Raw TV in about 7 months, I think. They called out Kevin Owens, which was quite cool, getting a big pop there. He actually got a decent big pop in New Orleans. And they called it somebody else, and I can't remember his name. Then Roman Reigns came out, and he was quite over. But Dean Ambrose was going to face Roman Reigns, but no, he did not. Sheamus came out and attacked him, and they two had a match. So Dean and Sheamus had a decent match. It was okay, a bit boring, but it was good, hard-hitting match. And they started to brawl on the outside, and this is where a really bad ending happened. It was terrible, it was shocking. I really don't like it. It happens all the time in WWE. A double count out. But I'll give this. Sheamus has major balls for taking a full running headbutt into the steel post. No protection or anything, just a full headbutt onto the steel post. And he busted open for the 4th time this year, I think. And it was really bad. Like, honestly, the bust open was really bad. But after the wee brawl they had, Kevin Owens came out and attacked Dean. They had a brawl. The last couple of weeks they've had brawls. This was probably the worst brawl of all of them, but it was still a decent brawl, and Kevin Owens walked away after all the geeks came out. So then after that we had Stardust versus Titus O'Neil, which is a bland, boring, repetitive match. This is the 4th time they've faced in 2 weeks, on TV that is. And it was really boring with O'Neil getting the win. But after the match, Stardust attacked him again, which is probably going to lead to a match on the Royal Rumble pre-show, most likely. Sorry there. We then had, before let's talk about the next match, I need to give a shout out to Stardust for his David Bowie tribute. His face paint was like the famous David Bowie poster, and it was quite cool. I've got to give him that. After that, we had the highlight reel with Chris Jericho and the New Day, and this was quite funny. I actually quite enjoyed it. It was better than last week's, a lot better than last week's, but I feel kind of bad for Jericho. He kind of feels like an old dad who's trying to find his style back from when he was younger. It just isn't working for him. It's quite sad actually, but it was better than last week. Then the Usos came out, and a match started between the both of them, with Jericho at ringside for the Usos and Xavier Woods there for the New Day. The Usos win after a distraction, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it's quite cool. But after the distraction, the Usos got the win, and it was a WWE tag match. That's really all I can say, a WWE tag match. But then we had probably the worst injury ever, and I feel for Xavier Woods. Not for Xavier Woods himself, I feel for his trombone. As Chris Jericho snapped his trombone. Let's all, I'm on silence for the trombone. I'm kidding on. This was actually the funniest thing you'll actually see. It was really funny, and Xavier Woods' reaction was incredible. Like, I recommend you go on, I think it's either WWE Instagram account or Xavier Woods Instagram account, and there's the trombone getting seen by the WWE doctors. And it's really funny, his reaction in the picture. It was all on Facebook, on the websites, and it was really cool. We then had a couple of great Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon segments. Well, Paul Heyman was trying to get Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon to agree that Brock Lesnar will not be in the Rumble, but the winner of the Rumble will face Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania 2. Didn't agree, but you had one great line from Vince McMahon, and it was, "Paul, stop trying to change my plans. I don't like getting my plans changed." And that's just really quite funny. If you don't know, this is funny because Vince McMahon has had, for the first time in a good while, a planned WrestleMania card for WrestleMania 32, but in the last 4 months, because of injury, it's all went to shite. We then had the Wyatts versus the Social Outcasts, with just the Wyatts destroying them until Ryback came out, flung him about, and tossed him outside. It was nothing. It was just nothing. But then we had the best moment on all of Raw, probably the best thing in a good while on Raw. It was Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio, and they had an amazing match for the United States Championship. And Kalisto beat Alberto Del Rio clean. Reminded me a lot of Rey Mysterio. He kind of looks like Rey Mysterio, sounds like him as well. So it seems like they're getting him a push, but not really, considering what happens on SmackDown. We'll get to that. We then might have a Charlotte versus a Brie match, but it didn't happen because Becky Lynch came out and attacked Charlotte, and this was okay. I enjoyed it, and Becky Lynch was intense, and this was good. We then had the 1 versus all match. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for about 15 minutes. Then other ones started coming in and attacking them. But then the Beast Incarnate came out, and the New Day thought they were going to hit, they was going to help all the bad guys, all the heels. But it didn't happen, of course didn't happen. The Beast started attacking everybody, F5 and suplexing, German suplexing everybody. And then he F5'd Roman Reigns and announced he will be in the 2016 Royal Rumble match. This Raw was actually okay, I'll give it that. Then we're on to a really quite bad week on TNA. So we had EC3 and Jeff segment, it was alright. But after that, we had EC3 announced that Jeff will go against Shinron, I know TNA star, nicknamed the Master of Motion. And they actually had a decent match, but it was basically a squash match for Jeff against him. And it was alright. But the best moment of this was because Shinron had no music, EC3 sang a theme song, which was quite funny. We then had the Beautiful People versus Awesome Kong and Jade of the Dollhouse in a street fight, and this was boring, I'm not going to talk about it. Then had Beer Money segment called the Beer Bash. They were just saying sorry for the to attack each other over the years. It was uninspired, it was boring, it was dull. But after this, Bram and Eric Young came out, and it led to a King of the Mountain match. No, sorry, not King of the Mountain match. A King of the Mountain title match between Young and Wood, which was a good match. Eric Young becoming the King of the Mountain champion. We then had Mr. Anderson's new show, Huh? And that was bad. Just really bad. We then had the Wolves and Tigre Uno versus Eli Drake, Jesse Goddard and DJ Z. And before this match even started, there's a clip on YouTube of Eli Drake and Jesse Goddard recruiting DJ Z. I'd recommend you go and watch it because it's really funny. Probably the funniest thing you'll see on TNA for a while, except the commentary. I'm kidding on, that commentary's terrible. But the Wolves in Uno won, and that was better after DGZ super kicked Jesse Goddard. After this, we had Galloway versus Angle, and they had an amazing match. It was really good, with Angle getting the win after a super Angle slam. This show had 2 decent things in it and a good match, so I'll give it okay. It was alright, it wasn't much. We're now going on to the best show of the week, NXT. And the show started with Sami Zayn coming out, talking to the NXT crowd, saying he wants to become the the first ever two-time NXT champion. But then Joe came out and started arguing. Then Baron Corbin came out and started arguing all about who's the #1 contender. Joe left. Corbin tried to attack Zayn, and Zayn got the better of him. Apparently, in the next couple of weeks, it'll be Zayn versus Joe for #1 contender. Wonder what happened. Then, because this is an award show version of NXT, it was announced who was the Tag Team of the Year, Male Competitor of the Year, Match of the Year, and Takeover of the Year, and Overall Competitor of the Year. Enzo Amore and Big Cass won Tag Team of the Year. Match of the Year went to Bayley and Sasha, which should have won Match of the Year on the Slammies. Female Competitor was Bayley. Male Competitor was Balor. Takeover of the Year was Brooklyn. And Overall Competitor of the Year was Balor, which is really quite good. We then had Tommaso Ciampa versus Danny Burch, which was actually a decent match. It was fun, it was okay. But the ending was when Ciampa got on a modified Fujirami armbar and won the match. We had the #1 contenders battle royal for the Women's Championship, with Carmella getting the win. This was okay, it was decent. It was a bit meh, and I'm not really looking forward to seeing Carmella versus Bayley. Honestly, I don't really like Carmella. She's a good promo, but she's not really a good wrestler. Then had the Mechanics versus the Ascensions, with the Mechanics getting the win, which is really good. They're really getting them over. But the Ascension are super over on NXT. Like, oh my god, they're acting like gods on that program. So that was NXT, and now on to the weekly end of the week show, which was SmackDown. Just get my notes here. We then had Dean Ambrose started the show with a typical Dean Ambrose promo. It was wacky, it was really funny. It's a really good drum roll beat version of it. I actually really enjoyed. Which announced that Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose will face each other for the IC Championship at the Royal Rumble in a last man standing match, which should be amazing. We had Owens and Sheamus come out and talk to Dean Ambrose, threatening him, about to attack him, until the man that grabbed it forgot, Neville, came out and saved the day. We then had the first tables match on SmackDown for the first 4 years. For the 4 years between the Dudleys and the Wyatts. And this was actually okay. It wasn't that bad. It was decent. And the Dudleys won the match, but after the match, the Wyatts attacked the Dudleys. We then had the Social Outcasts versus Damien Sandow. Yes, he's actually getting back in TV. Goldust, Zack Ryder, and Jack Swagger. This match was dull, but again, really funny. That's how I describe this show, kind of funny, with Social Outcast getting the win. And it was a quite funny bit when after Heath rolled out the ring, Bo Dallas tried to get the whole of the team to do a victory lap, which was really enjoyable. We then had the rematch between Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio, and all I had to say is boo! Boo! Don't do this, WWE. You've just squandered one of your best talents and a potential really good run with your championship by giving Alberto Del Rio the United States Championship back off a distraction from Bad News Barrett, who's injured, not even wrestling right now. Come on, that's just bad. Get your shit together. It's not a laughing matter. Honestly, man, Kalisto was doing really good, and you just wondered if he could have been. I'm not happy with that. Like, Alberto Del Rio, 2-time United States champion. We then had Ambrose, Neville versus Kevin Owens and Sheamus, and again, this is a WWE tag team match on SmackDown, which I don't mind, honestly. SmackDown is the home of tag team matches, and that's okay. I don't mind it. But every week, honestly, I think last week we had the exact same thing. No, we didn't. We had the Kevin Owens versus Ambrose match, but that was on the match for a while that we main evented SmackDown. Was it? It was okay. We're now going on to the week's rumours and stuff like that. I can't people saying all this stuff again. We're now going to start with Tammy Cinch, Tammy Cinch, I think her name is. Well, she is now selling her Hall of Fame ring on eBay to get money because apparently she's broke or doesn't like the company, something like that. Which is really disrespectful. Think of the people who have spent all their years working in this business and they have not got a Hall of Fame ring, but you were granted with one and they're just flinging it away. You should be really disrespectful. That's really disrespectful. We have Daniel Bryan was rumoured to be getting released, but WWE announced that he's not being released. So did Dane Meltzer and all that. He's not getting released, it was just rumours. Shinsuke Nakamura, after announcing he was going to WWE after his contract was done, has been stripped of the IWGP Intercontinental title, and the title will be between, I think it's Hiroshi Goto, no, not Hiroshi Goto, it's Tanahashi and Kenny Omega at their Valentine's show for the Intercontinental title, where it had Sister Abigail potential coming into WWE, which is good. That's really good. But also on the white note, they could be turning babyface. Apparently, there's been rumours that they'll be going against the 40, maybe after WrestleMania 32, maybe going into WrestleMania 32 after the Royal Rumble. I'm not sure. But Dave Meltzer reports that Randy Orton may not need shoulder surgery, but did have, no, not shoulder surgery, may not need neck surgery, but has had shoulder surgery and will not be at the Royal Rumble, but may be ready for March, but most likely will be ready for May. And I've left this to end the show because it's the most important piece of news in this whole week. On Monday Night Raw, JBL announced that the legend, the icon Sting, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame class of 2016 at WrestleMania 32. This is astonishing news. It's really good for Sting and his family and his friends and wrestling fans in general. Sting is an incredible talent all these years. Started off in WCW, going through being a bright face babyface, then turning into Crow Sting, NWO Wolfpack Sting, and other versions of Sting. Then going to TNA and still becoming an NWA World Heavyweight Champion, TNA World Champion, and then finally last year going to WWE, facing Triple H at WrestleMania 31, Seth Rollins the Night of Champions. He has done everything there is to do in the business except face Undertaker. But hopefully that will happen at WrestleMania 32. But there is, he may still be injured, so he might not have another match. But I honestly do not care. I'm ecstatic that this man has finally got into the Hall of Fame. Has finally got into the Hall of Fame. And that is it. Sting is now a Hall of Famer. Well guys, what do you think of this week in wrestling? My name is Paul. Leave your comments and your suggestions down below, and I'll see you next week for weekly wrestling review.